What actually happened is we had thought about sustainable building, and we went to a sustainable housing day, and we looked around a lot of houses.
Did we?
Yes, and the ones that we particularly liked, there's a couple of designs we came across that I actually quite liked, happened to be built by solid roads.
A lot of people know a little bit, and in the process, what happens is they discover other things.
That would probably describe us. It's one thing wanting to be sustainable. It's another thing knowing how to go about it.
Yeah.
And we heard stories about straw bales and all these exotic materials that you can use to build houses. But it was only when we started talking about it with yourself and other people that we started to build up a bit of a database, as it were, of what's involved, not just with the house, but with the environment, because then you start learning about things like microclimates and setting aside areas of garden for specific things, water conservation and the like. So it was all sort of one step leads to another step, leads to another.
And in the process, you're right, because after we spoke to you before, we were getting a house design, but in our heads we were still separate to you, looking at things. And I can remember going to Home Base. And we looked around there because remember they had a big exhibition upstairs, and we looked at different kind of insular bricks and different things that you can build with. So we learnt a lot more about the various materials that are available before we actually built.
Normal building materials and turn them into home that's super efficient.
Yeah, by shaping them the right way.
And the trap is, nothing wrong with some of the materials that are out there that are different. It's important that people have that opportunity. But what happens is they don't have to be different. You don't have to spend the extra money on unusual materials. Just know.
I tell you what I did find was interesting, because you can actually adapt things to still match what you want. So the thing that I remember specifically is you had suggested, obviously, to make it sustainable, not have to use heating, was to have a solid mass on the floor, concrete, something similar. And I did not want concrete because I didn't want them. I thought it would feel cold. That wasn't my thing, especially in a big room like that. But then talking to I think it was Franz at the time, and he said, "Oh, this might suit you," and so we were able to use that resin across the concrete, so it was still straight on the slab to make it look like wood, to match the old part of the house. And that was great for us because we got the outcome. But you wouldn't have known about that.
Because we looked at tiles and they were nice tiles, and they would have done the trick, but they just didn't suit our style. But it's part of the continuity. I mean, people come from the old house into the new one, and
it works. It blends
through.
Because your original house was the fibro and weatherboard on timber frame and stumps, whereas we needed to actually get some floor mass and wall mass into the building so we can retain some heat in winter from shortwave, long wavelength radiation and convection, but also the vertical mass in particular basically also offset temperature gains in summer. So we need that vertical mass, otherwise we can't take the heat out. And then the breeze coming past that vertical mass will then strip the heat out of it, the superficial heat, and retain, get back to a core temperature and start all over again each day in summer. So it's not great.
It's good that it works. I mean, being a natural skeptic, you always you hear about these things and you think, is it going to work seriously? And much to my surprise, it
works.
It does. It
does. In other words, you've got a lot of water tanks.
Just under 80,000.
80,000 litres.
So in hindsight, we would have probably put more.
Really?
Because we've got, we've got the lawn and we've got so many vegetables and things. That is enough for all of that. But it's not enough to supply extra water for us.
It's actually not. It's only enough to supply half the season.
We
should have water tanks. Plus you've got the PVs, your photovoltaics on the roof. So how big is your PV system?
4.6.
4.6 kilowatts. Okay. So therefore, if you look over 12 months, having 4.6 kilowatts, plus you have the house, and plus you have a unit attached to the house, which is a B&B, and which is normally has people in it pretty
Always.
much 12 months, which
Yeah.
is really great.
Yeah.
So, and all the energy goes through the same system.
Yeah.
So, what are your running costs?
We normally get 2 bills that we have to pay a year.
Yep.
Obviously, both in the winter. The last bill we had was for $350. The bill before that was for $250.
Yep.
And that'll be the last bill we'll get.
Yes.
Generally speaking, when we get to sunny days, we'll have a credit of anywhere between $200 to $500 or $600 on the bill. Our daily rate, according to Synergy, is about 12 kilo hours a day.
Right.
For everything that we use.
Right.
Which isn't too bad, bearing in mind we've got pool pumps and
So your cost,
huge
if you
house.
split that up, your cost per year, if you said take the credits and the debits, what would it be costing you, say, per month? So that people relate.
We actually get.
So you make
We make money at the moment.
but you're on the old
But we're
tariff
on the old
too.
tariff,
You're on the,
yeah.
but still that's running for the Airbnb
Yeah,
and plus
everything.
yours, the
Yeah.
whole house.
at the
Yeah.
moment we're making we're probably ahead by 12, maybe perhaps $1,500 a year.
Having a house like this makes you more aware of what you can or can't do. And actually, I love it. I mean, do have friends. We have a particular friend I can think of who built a house around the same time as us on the wood. They've got lots of money. It's fine. Spend a lot more money than we did. A lot more. I mean, this wasn't cheap, but it wasn't, compared to theirs.
Yeah.
So
It was
something we
about
need to discuss, Griff.
It was no, but compared to their house and size-wise, inside it, theirs might be a tiny bit bigger, but the cost of it would have been at least 3 times the size of this,
Oh.
and it's all air conditioned,
Yeah.
and it's like it must cost them a fortune to run it.
Yeah.
It's just not designed, and it's not facing the right way. It's just not designed. And I look at it, I think we've got no air conditioning. We have no heating to speak of. Conditioning. We have the breeze that comes through because the way it's been designed. We have lockout curtains and all that stuff. And we have an overhead fan over our bed, which we do use when it's really hot.
Which is on an upper floor, so
Yeah.
that means it's warmer up there.
Exactly, that's where we have
Which
it.
also gives you better airflow to get the airflow right.
So it's fantastic. So, for me, that's how it's changed our life. Everywhere I go, it's air conditioned. We don't have that air conditioning. Turning it on, turning it off. It's hot, it's too cold, it's all that stuff. I don't think that's actually good for you. So health-wise, I think this is better. Oh, I think it's worth it.
You've obviously got to do your homework.
Yep. Do your homework. Right.
Make sure you know what you're getting. And you'll find that once you do a bit of research, that it all makes sense. It doesn't cost that much extra to get a lot more back.
And I would, sorry, can I add something? I would say if you're, we already had our house, and we didn't want to get rid of the old part, which is not at all sustainable really. But we've came up with great designs we could add on, and it works. However, if I could have my time again, possibly would have thought about the block of land I was buying beforehand, or what I was buying, so that I could ask the questions of the right people to say, is this going to work? Will I get a good design? Will I be able to face the street, or will I have to have it off? You know what I mean? All those things.
Yeah, doing that research.